Notes for my May 2025 reading of 2001 book Traveling Light by Max Lucado. Today is Friday, 16 May 2025. I am Tanis Coralie Leonardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, and I talk through my book and reading notes for my May 2025 reading of a spiritual journey book, Traveling Light, Releasing the Burdens You Were Never Intended to Bear by Max Lucado, 2001 W. Publishing Group edition hardcover, ISBN in the video description. I started the book on Thursday, 8 May 2025, and finished the book on Friday, 16 May 2025. It was 220 pages. It took me 9 days of reading. I read 40 pages Thursday, 30 pages Friday, 22 pages Saturday, 25 pages Sunday, 22 pages Monday, 26 pages Tuesday, 22 pages Wednesday, 29 pages Thursday, 4 pages Friday. All right. So how this one entered the realm was one of the family friends, one of my dad's good friends, was reading this book, and he was like, I was reading it and I thought of you. So it's even, he wrote a message in the front. So I'm Tanis, and so it's to Tanis. It's from Scott, and he even put the date April 12, 2025. That he wrote the note, and so he gave it to me as a gift, and there was a card. And so he gave it to me, and then, if I'm recalling correctly, he gave my dad a copy, and I hadn't started reading it yet, so I read the book with my dad. My dad, my mom, and I discussed it as Dad and I read, and so, it'd be like breakfast and dinner, like, where are you, where am I, let's talk about the burden. So essentially what it does is it kind of talks about how to release different burdens in life, and it makes an analogy that each burden is kind of like a bag of baggage, and learning to kind of let go. And it covers 18 different burdens, and kind of for each one an example or a story, and then or more than one, and then kind of how to address the burden, and kind of a way or ways to kind of alleviate it and kind of let go. And it focuses on Psalm 23 in the Holy Bible. So this is a spiritual Christianity book. And so there we go. As for what it includes, I'm not going to do all 18, since it took me 9 days. I was like, well, in the honor of the number 9, I chose 9 from here. I'm going to tell you them, not necessarily in order of the book, but kind of how they maybe stood out to me on this reading. 1, hopelessness. 2, loneliness. 3, doubt. 4, grief. 5, worry. 6, self-reliance. 7, fear. 8, guilt. 9, shame. And I chose to highlight some of those because, like, worry and doubt for some people might be like synonymous, and kind of guilt and shame might be synonymous. The same with hopelessness and loneliness, and so these are kind of paired, and my highlighting them because it does a good job of kind of like differentiating these things that at the surface might be like, oh, they're the same thing. They're so slightly different. So I appreciated that. Some of the stuff in here, like some people might be like, self-reliance is not a burden, it's something I aspire to. So I just include that one as well. But kind of like, as someone who does a lot of stuff like solo and has throughout my life, like remembering I do need to ask for help, that kind of thing. And I've gone through periods where that's really kind of stood out for me. So I had kind of already learned that lesson, but it was like, that's one that I might want to call out, and be like, there is such a thing as too much from my experience. But at the same point, I also want to go overboard and say all self-reliance is bad by any means. Another one kind of like that for myself that I didn't highlight in those 9 is arrogance. I'm an industry of science / mathematics. Arrogance is kind of like an industrial standard, just to kind of, it's a competitive environment, and so I'd say that arrogance is actually healthy and the sign of a good scientist and or mathematician. Now there's a difference between arrogance and being cocky and overconfident. There's like different tiers, but a baseline of actually having an arrogance that's like a fingerprint for the person, I would actually say is not a burden but a necessity. It's a form of immunity to people always trying to tear tear me down or a person down. So there were little things like that where it was like, these ones that I highlighted, I'm like, yes, to some capacity, but there were some in the book where I was like, nah, I don't know. I really enjoyed reading it with my dad, and thank you, Scott, if you're seeing this, and thank you, Dad, and thank you, Mom, and thank you, Conan, and thank you, Sue, of Scott and Sue. And I would say I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 stars. It's a good one. As of like, I did have to go back and read chapters more than once just to like remember it. I was like, I could read it again as well. So those are my notes for my May 2025 reading of 2001 book Traveling Life by Max Lucado.